On your left, we have the LG G3 Gallery Series OLED TV, and on your right, we have the Samsung S95C QD OLED TV. Both of these TVs are 2023 TVs, and both of these TVs at the time of filming are the same exact price. How much does the MLA technology really matter for the LG G3, and did it get close to QD OLED? I will answer those questions and much more in this video, and at the end, I'll give you my buying advice. Alright, first let's talk about build quality, then we're going to move on to how easy the TV is to use, and then we're going to move on to picture quality. One thing you might want to consider when buying these two TVs is if you're going to mount the TV or if you're going to keep it on a stand. If you're going to mount the TV, the G3 makes it a little bit easier because it comes with a wall mount bracket instead of the usual stand option, while the S95C will give you a stand in the box and you'll have to get a wall mount separately if you choose to go that route. Another thing that I have to point out before we dive into picture quality is that the One Connect box is included with the S95C. This is a separate external box with all of your ports on it, while the LG G3 is going to have all of its ports on the back of the TV. The build quality on the S95C is not going to be as good as the LG G3. The G3 is just built like a tank. It is thicker, and that might be a downside for some people, but it is going to be thicker for the right reasons. There's probably no way this TV can get bent during shipping, while the S95C that I had definitely had a bend from shipping damage. That's one thing I want to point out. And this is something that could happen to your TV if you're getting somebody who's not going to ship it with care. All in all, the LG G3 just looks and feels more premium than the S95C QD OLED. Alright, let's talk about menu differences. The actual menu navigation is going to be a little bit faster and smoother on the LG G3. I actually like the UI changes for this year with some new quick settings options. Switching inputs and dealing with different settings is going to be a lot easier on the LG G3. While it's pretty smooth on the S95C as far as getting in and out of settings go, changing your inputs can be a bit of a hassle on the S95C where you have to go through the home screen in order to do it. So now let's move on to the biggest thing that everybody wants to know, and that is picture quality. Who has the best picture quality? Well, it's not really that easy of an answer, but let's answer those questions for you right now. I'm going to use different modes to figure this out. The first one we're going to look at is the home movie modes. This is going to be the movie modes that you have on with dynamic tone mapping turned on. So for this, with the LG G3, we're using Cinema Home, and we have tweaked the expression enhancer setting to brightness. This is going to give us a very bright movie watching experience, and it's going to emphasize bright highlights. Watching this way with expression enhancer brightness turned on is definitely going to sacrifice some fine details, so if you're somebody who wants to make sure you see all the details possible and get the best depth possible, you're going to want to disable the expression enhancer feature from the brightness setting. On the S95C, we're using the default movie mode, which has dynamic tone mapping turned to active, which is basically like dynamic tone mapping turned on. There is a little bit of a difference as they do have different algorithms, so my observations from when these modes were like this, I did see that the LG G3 got a little bit brighter than the S95C when I was using these modes. It was something that I consistently saw, but it did sacrifice some detail and some depth on the LG G3 to get to those brightness levels. But if you're looking for a very bright and punchy TV, the LG G3 can definitely deliver in that department. It was getting brighter than the S95C. However, when you're talking about color brightness and color vibrancy, the S95C was still the winner there because QD OLED can just get you to that level that the G3 still can't get to you even with MLA technology. That said, it gets you pretty close and it is really good. So the Cinema Home mode with expression enhancer turned to brightness is definitely bright, but like I said, we are losing some details, so I'm going to leave it on Cinema Home, but I'm going to turn off the expression enhancer so we can get the better details. As you can see now, they are very similar, and it's only going to be certain scenes that the G3 is brighter than the S95C. In other scenes, the S95C is brighter than the G3. I would say they trade blows quite a bit, and not always is one consistently brighter than the other when they are set very similarly like this. I will say that the new dynamic tone mapping algorithm for the LG G3 is very impressive with the amount of depth that you're getting out of the picture, and at times it can look very 3D-like. So if I'm watching TV just for the entertainment, just for the wow factor, trying to get the pictures to pop off the screen the most, it's definitely got to be the G3 in this department. Before we move on to creator's intent, something a little bit more accurate, let's talk about something a little bit less accurate, and that's going to be the vivid and dynamic modes. I wanted to include this because I know a lot of people actually do use these modes. I definitely think that the LG G3 has a better vivid mode. On the other hand, the dynamic mode on the S95C is not something I can actually recommend, even to people who are fans of the vivid and dynamic modes. It's just not that great. Vivid mode on the LG G3, on the other hand, definitely feels a bit more what people would want out of a vivid mode. Before we move on to the next part, I have to ask you guys, what stuck out to you the most with the comparison that I'm doing so far? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your opinions. Alright, now let's talk about something that's a little bit more accurate out of the box, something that's going to give you closer to what the creator's intent is, and that is going to be the Filmmaker modes. Now the Filmmaker modes are going to be used with dynamic tone mapping turned off. For the LG G3, you're going to have to manually do this through the settings menu, and on the S95C, the default Filmmaker mode is going to be set to static, and that's correct, so we won't need to change anything there. When looking at these modes side by side, there is a clear difference that the skin tones appear to be a little bit more saturated on the LG G3. I personally felt the need to turn down the color a little bit on the LG G3. Now I don't know if it was oversaturated or if the S95C was just a little undersaturated with the skin tones, but it's just something that I observed. Depending on the content that was shown, the S95C typically looked like the brighter TV overall when in this Filmmaker mode. That said, it does depend on the source that you're watching. Some movies are going to look brighter on the LG G3 based on how the LG G3 and the S95C adapt its tone curve. The differences between the S95C and the G3 in terms of brightness is really going back and forth. But when it comes down to color luminance and the vibrancy of colors, you're definitely going to see a big advantage with the S95C. So one thing I wanted to point out, on camera the LG G3 might look a little bit more green or bluish. This is not really the case in person, but there is a little bit of a push in green. I don't think I'd be noticing it as much on the LG G3 if it wasn't side by side next to the S95C. Next, I want to talk about the picture processing. The picture processing on the LG G3 is improved over the LG G2, but it still isn't on the same level as the S95C. I see more clarity out of the S95C because of things like the inbuilt dynamic sharpening that is on the S95C. This was also on the S95B, and it's what led me to believe the S95B looked a little bit sharper and clearer than the LG G2 as well. Not everybody likes these processing features, and they might think that it gives you an over-processed look. It really is going to depend on the person watching the TV. It seems like the LG G3 has better processing once you activate the dynamic tone mapping feature. I'm not sure if this is by design, but I know they reworked their dynamic tone mapping system, and if used in combination with the AI Picture Pro, you can definitely get some sharper and clearer results. If you're enjoying this video and you want to see future TV comparisons of all kinds of different TV brands, make sure to hit the subscribe button and turn on the bell for notifications so you're alerted for the next time that I post a video or go live for a live stream. Let's talk about game mode. Game mode is a different type of thing for the LG G3 because the color boosting feature just does not work. And this is something that HD TV Test pointed out in a video review of the G3. And the reasoning for this was because it would add input lag to add this into the game mode. And I trust Vincent with his sources, so I have to think that's what's going on. It's unfortunate because you can really see this problem. I'm showing a couple of examples here in this video, and we're even seeing it when we have game mode on in just regular content. It definitely is going to appear like you are losing color vibrancy. There is a little bit of a workaround. You can use ALLM with other picture modes and get a very similar input lag, but there are some downsides to using that, like you won't be able to access the HGIG function. And if you're somebody who's not going to use HGIG and your primary cause for this is to get the TV for gaming, then I think the S95C would be better suited for you anyway, as it is going to give you better color vibrancy like I discussed. It's also going to give you features that the LG G3 can't give you, like Game Motion Plus and 144Hz gaming, which the G3 can't do. The S95C also has a very bright game mode. It actually feels like it's one of the brightest modes on the TV. Now I'll definitely have more on game mode in a separate video, as I will be doing a separate side-by-side just for game mode with the LG G3 and the S95C, so stay tuned for that. So for my buying advice, I think if you're a big fan of the LG G3 from what you saw, then I think it's a really great TV. The only caveat is if you're a gamer, but if you can do the workaround that I said, you'll still really enjoy the TV. Now, you're not going to have HGIG with this workaround, so keep that in mind, but that's something I just want to throw in there. If you're going to watch this TV for movies and TV show watching, then I think you're going to love the LG G3 anyway. So I would go that route if I'm going for movies and TV shows. If you're going for strictly gaming and you're just looking for the best gaming TV that you can get, in my opinion, the best gaming TV you can buy for your money is going to be the S95C QD OLED. Overall, the S95C is the more uniform panel. There's no issues at all with uniformity with my S95C, and on my LG G3, I do see a little bit of clouding and tinting on the panel itself. So that's something that you just want to keep in mind when you're talking about uniformity. The TV is also more capable of delivering better color vibrancy across the board. You are going to experience bright colors like you have never before with QD OLED, and that is something that the G3 still, even with MLA technology, can't quite get to that level. Though I have to say, it is definitely improved over the G2, and in a lot of content, you're barely going to be able to tell the difference, as most content doesn't push the boundaries of what you need for QD OLED to really shine. I don't think that you're going to be missing too much with choosing either TV though, so honestly, you should just pick the one that has the best features for you. Those of you that are concerned with burn-in, you might want to consider the LG G3 as it comes with a 5-year panel warranty. So which TV are you buying? Is it going to be the S95C or the LG G3? Or maybe you're waiting for the A95L? Tell me in the comments below, I'd love to hear your answer. If you enjoyed this video, I have another TV comparison that I think you'll like as well. Check it out right here.